you get busy in the shop. Fundamentals test 11. The vehicle's being repaired after an airbag deployment. Technician A says the inflator module should be handled as if it is still live.
True.
Technician B says rubber gloves should be worn to prevent skin irritation.
True.
Both.
That is C. What is a seat belt pretensioner for?
You just force the occupant back into the position against the seat.
What else?
It's all of the above.
Used to remove slack from the seat belt in the event of a collision, and it contains an explosive charge.
I didn't know it contained explosives.
This is a seat belt pretensioner.
I'm
Right
gonna
here.
take one out so I can have that.
And you notice it's got a yellow connector which flags this as an airbag component on just about every car. Now, some of your older cars didn't use yellow ones, but there's your little explosive charge. This one is not so terribly dangerous. It just goes in here. But an airbag will blow your head clean off like a 44 Magnum, so you need to be really, really, really careful with airbags. You know what I mean? So,
You mean working on them?
huh?
You mean
I
working?
mean, like if you're doing something and you didn't disable the airbag and something shortens out, I say that. It can do as little damage as just like this one mechanic had one light off on him and it picked him up and put him over in the back seat with his feet sticking up in the air. It also can break your neck if it hits you wrong. Or it can give you two black eyes. I mean, it can do a whole bunch of serious, hard, heavy-duty stuff. It can kill you. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, them airbags are like a piece of... Have you ever seen one light off in the parking lot?
That's 50-50
I've never
then.
seen one light off.
Okay, you're not talking about the same explosion when something hit, when you get in an accident, you hit.
Yeah.
You saying that these things could possibly happen?
Yeah, whenever you're going forward and it's kind of to keep your face from hitting the steering wheel, that's one thing. But when you're just sitting there and it goes off, you know, it's one guy over at a Chevrolet place, he had a little small car of some kind of Chevrolet. You know, Randy was telling me about this from over at Chevrolet place in Dothan. He said the guy put an ignition switch on there, man, to short one of the wires going to the airbag. And he doing it himself, you know. And when he got that thing shorted, as soon as you turn the key on, that airbag module says, I think I'm gonna shoot a little juice back up through that airbag and see if it comes back, so I'll know if the airbag's got a closed deployment loop. So it shoots some juice up there, it comes back and it finds ground where he pinched the wire, it goes boom, blew off in his face. He got a big raspberry here and all that stuff. Now he got an $800 airbag he's gotta buy. See what I'm saying? That ain't no laughing matter, really, you know, think about it. And there's one friend of mine, they had one on a convoy. He's driving along, it lights off an airbag driving down the road on the back of the big truck that hauls the car. Boom! And so they pulled it off the convoy at the dealership, popped an airbag in it, and sent it on its way. They didn't even try to find out what was wrong with it, you know. They just figured maybe he bounced or something, you know. So they get it to the Lincoln Mercury place over in Dothan, back when there used to be a Lincoln Mercury place over there. And Donnie's picks this thing up. I don't know why they didn't disable it, which you're supposed to unhook the battery cable, wait a while, let for them capacitors to bleed off. He picks it up, he turns it around and looks at the back of it with the wire still plugged in. He turns around, sits it back down on here, and Rick reaches up under here and just touches the module, and it goes boom! And it almost took Donnie's head off, you know? See what I'm saying? How dangerous that can be? If that thing's turned around backwards, and it's got those bolts and that metal pointed at your face and it lights off, it's going about 5,000 feet a second when it hits you in the face. It's like a bullet, except it's just big around and it's coming at you like a tank. I mean, this is not funny, you know? I mean, it can take you out, man. And so, but anyway, that's why we're talking about these things, because it's real serious. If you're working, if you're gonna pull a steering wheel off, or you do anything to do with the airbag, at the very least, you need to take the battery cable off. That's the easiest thing to do, where you'll know it's gonna be okay. You got me? Don't take your meter and measure an airbag to see how much resistance it has, you know, because it's got a shortened bar in there anyway when it's unplugged. Anyway, what conducts power and ground of the driver's side airbag?
Clock spring.
Yeah, that's right. The clock spring is like a little spiral wound. And I used to have one under here somewhere that I could show off. This is one right here. That's a clock spring, or what's left of one. Here it is, right here. This is a clock spring that is screwed up and come apart. See, goes in like this, and this is a strip. See that strip? It goes around and around and around and around. And that's why you got to time that clock spring, and you'll learn a little bit more about that next semester. If you're going to pull your steering wheel needs to be right in the middle when you pull into the truck and stop if you're going to change the steering gear, because you don't need to have this clock spring already wound up as tight as it'll go, and then try to turn it a little more. It tears it. Now you spent $400, because I had a student in here do that on his car. He actually had it turned, I mean, he didn't time the clock spring like I taught him, and he cost himself $375 on his Honda car. On a Ford, it costs about $50 for an air spring, or clear, you know, like on that Ranger or whatever, for that clock spring usually. All right, now this thing is trying to trip me up. Clock springs aren't quite as dangerous as airbags though, so I'll be okay. All right, now then, which side will curtain airbag, when will side or curtain airbags be deployed?
If the vehicle rolls over, or in the event of an impact.
What about hard impact to the side?
That's what I
That's
said.
what I would say.
That's what I said.
That's what's right. What color are the airbag electrical connectors and conduit?
Yellow.
They're supposed to be yellow. The older ones may not be yellow. The older ones may be just about any color. How many sensors must be triggered at the same time to cause an airbag deployment? Incidentally,
Actually, I think it's 3.
see this right here? See, there's your conduit right there for the airbag, but notice this connector's not yellow. You got that? So that's, you can't always go by that yellow. It's supposed to be, but it won't always be. The newer they are, the more likely they are to be yellow. Let's see, how many sensors? It says C, it says 2, but that's not exactly true either. And I've got a piece of an airbag module over here. A lot of them have got nothing but this on them. They've got nothing but this. And you notice this little sensor right here in this electronic air, this module will talk to a scan tool. And it actually, if I do this, hear that? That's this little thing right here that's supposed to light off the airbag right there.
And you actually don't even have to do it that hard.
Yeah.
It's actually a little more sensitive than that.
Actually, it's got to be 28 miles an hour dead stop, usually. Now, some of the early Camaros, if you hit a curb, you could light off your airbag, you know, but this one right here is like for the Jeeps and all that. Most of them are built to this standard now, but you're actually going to, you can move it a little bit if you just bump it. But you know, the guy gets out and Die Hard, or Live Free or Die Hard, and bangs the front of the car with something and causes the airbag to light off. I mean, you ain't gonna do that. The car's got to be stopping, basically, before it's gonna light off and so.
So, we're gonna say 2, we're gonna say 1.
Well, this particular one, this particular test, when it was written, 2 was supposed to be the right answer. They used to have the ground and the hot side broke with the sensors. They'd have a little gold ball sitting on a magnet. It would roll forward and touch a couple of wires in both sensors. On this particular one here, I'm gonna say on some of them, all you need is this one sensor to light off because that's all that's on it.
Well, it's going to be on the answer key.
But now you got to look it up on your schematic. Just put 2 on there. But on your schematic is what you're going to look at. You're going to look that system up. Some car, you know, not all cars are exactly the same, you know. But usually they're trying to keep them from lighting off by accident. They don't want one sensor to go bad and cause it to light off just at will, you know. Let's see. What are the shorting bars used? Where are they used?
Wouldn't it be?
In the
The connectors for the airbags. Every airbag, if you unplug the airbag, you're going to see shorting bars that touch the wires so that no power and ground goes in there from static electricity or something like that. When you unplug it and you look up in the airbag, you'll see something that's, and whenever you plug those connectors back in, it moves the shorting bar out of the way so the connection's made like it should be. The heater uses what to heat the air inside the vehicle on most vehicles? We've gone from airbags to heaters all of a sudden. What do you
Heater
think?
coil.
What?
I know that. Hey.
Hot engine from the engine run through a heater core. All right.
I said heater core.
Oh, I thought you said heater coil. All right, number 9. When the air conditioning system, where in the air conditioning system is the refrigerant a low pressure gas? Now that's going to be tricky if you haven't read the chapter, isn't it?
Condenser inlet.
Low pressure gas.
Oh, the outlet.
Yeah, it's gonna be the outlet.
What outlet?
Evaporator.
Evaporator outlet. That's the correct answer. There's air conditioning. Incidentally, there's several different types of air conditioning systems on that thing up there you can look at. It's really good. Where in the air conditioning system is the refrigerant a high pressure liquid?
Evaporator inlet.
No.
Condenser inlet.
Huh?
I don't know.
What about the condenser outlet?
Yeah, that's what I.
What is it when
That's
it
what I
leaves the
said.
compressor, you guys?
Say what?
What is it when it leaves the compressor? When it leaves the compressor, what state is it in?
Oh, it's cool.
Fluid.
It's compressed.
It's compressed.
Come on, you got AC training. What?
It's
I
compressed.
haven't.
It's compressed, but what state is it in? Is it a high pressure? It's high pressure, obviously, if the compressor compressed it, but what is it?
Gas.
It's gas, high pressure gas. In the discharge line between the compressor and the condenser, it is high pressure gas. What happens to it in the condenser?
Liquefies.
Yeah.
Gets liquefied because when something condenses, it turns into a liquid, right? Whenever it leaves the condenser, it's a high pressure liquid. When it hits the little orifice tube or the expansion valve, it turns into a low pressure liquid. When it goes through the evaporator, it does what?
Gases.
Turns into gas. And when it turns into gas, what's it doing? It's absorbing heat. It makes it cold, like a glass of tea. And
Really?
it lets water drain out on the pavement. It dries the air out, makes it comfortable in the car. And if you fix somebody's air conditioner when they've been riding hot, you are their hero forever.
Well, I've been
So bad,
riding hot,
fix
so
my
I
heater.
fix mine.
Yeah.
I need my AC fixed.
Yeah, we gotta let you fix yours because you're gonna learn that. Okay, the material used to absorb moisture inside AC system is called what?
Hag.
What? Desiccant. You've seen those little desiccant do not eat bags that come to the store? That's desiccant. A customer complains that the heater works sometimes, but sometimes only cold air comes out while driving.
Whoa, what was 11?
11 was desiccant.
I was distracted.
A customer complains that the heater works sometimes, but sometimes only cold air comes out while driving. Technician A says the AC system may not have enough refrigerant in the system. Huh? This is a heater.
It's B.
Huh?
See?
Technician B says the coolant system could be low on coolant.
Yes.
That's B. The refrigerant typically is not going to have anything to do with why it won't heat, you know? All right. Now, the blend door could. Okay. The first step the first step in the diagnostic procedure when attempting to solve an HVAC customer problem is to do what?
Visually
Visual
inspect.
inspection.
Verify customer concern.
You know what? It's one
You
of those
better
things.
verify the
Oh,
customer
Lord, that's
concern.
The very first thing on
The
the
very
inspection
first
list.
thing on every list is make sure it's doing what they say it's doing.
Yeah.
Like if I was gonna check Quincy's truck, I would make sure the brake pad actually fell out when he was moving the truck the other day. All right.
Brake pad
Quincy,
fell
you're
out.
never gonna.
Yeah, Quincy,
live that
Quincy,
down, bud.
Quincy knows that story, don't you, Quincy? What happened there? Quincy's backing his truck up, the brake pad falls out.
How
Really?
does that happen?
Because he wore it out so bad that the pads got completely ground away and they just came out of there. Yeah. And I was told him, I said, we need to fix those brakes. Well, we put it off for a while. It cost too much money, you know, so.
On that big truck?
Yeah, on that
That's
big
too
red
much
truck he
trouble,
drives.
you son. You
He was humiliated.
a ranger.
Okay, all right. Let's see, Technician A says, spark knock, ping, and detonation are different names for abnormal combustion. Technician B says, any abnormal combustion raises the temperature and pressure inside the combustion chamber and may cause severe engine damage.
Both.
That is both A and B. Propane is also called what?
CNG.
LPG.
LNG.
What about
Diesel.
DL?
Of
Liquid
course it's
petroleum
like-
gas. Liquid petroleum gas.
LPG.
Yeah, no, CNG is compressed natural gas.
I know that.
Liquid petroleum gas. A vehicle owner should do what? A, purchase gasoline that has the octane rating recommended for use in the stated owner's manual. B, use a plus grade for all gasoline engines. C, use premium grade for all engines for best performance, either B or C.
A.
A is the only one that's right. 17, E85 can do what?
Everything.
Yep, it can be used in a flex fuel. It can cause a conventional gasoline engine not to start or run really, really, really bad. It can harm the engine if used in a non-flex fuel engine. All of the above. Now, if you buy a flex fuel vehicle, you're going to have a better fuel system than if somebody buys one that's not flex fuel. Well, I've asked you this before. How many flex fuel vehicles do we have in our college fleet that you know of?
Two.
I think.
Two. We got that Dodge Caravan, and they have no identifying badges on them or anything. You look the serial number up, you find out they're flex fuel vehicles.
Does
That's-
it not say it in the VIN number?
Yeah, I'm the VIN number, so I'm talking about, you
okay.
gotta look it up in the VIN number. Yeah. But I mean, there's no badge.
Oh, look.
You know, like on these Fords, you'll have a little leaf and a highway, you know, and all that stuff, and they're
Yeah.
like flex fuel and all that kind of thing. And the flex fuel vehicle could be identified by what?
Any of the
Any of the above. VIN, emblems, VCI. What color is diesel fuel dyed if it is for off-road use
Red.
only?
Red.
Red. One should avoid topping off their fuel tank because why?
Charcoal canister might get saturated.
Yeah, and what happens when that happens?
No, it doesn't crank.
When it starts purging the canister, you gotta give it the gas, it stumbles. And some vehicles are more sensitive to that than others.
I actually had a CRV come in for that problem. That's how we figured it out. We couldn't get nothing to come out of the charcoal canister. That's bad.
Ugh, desaturated. It'll get raw gas out there.
SUV.
All right. I tell you what we're gonna do.
SUV by Honda.
We're gonna do our, we're gonna do our engine performance test, 111 tomorrow.